3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about. Well, the names have all changed since you hung around, but those dreams have remained and they've turned around. Who'd have thought they'd lead you?
And we're back with another podcast, the podcast of No Name. I am Joseph A. Morning, and this is also called the Sidetrackers podcast. I actually messed up that intro, but oh well.
Yeah. It'll be alright.
You guys all know. Anyway, how are you today, Brandon?
Yeah, I've still got a pulse, so that's a plus.
It is a plus. So, last week I wanted to talk to you about, hello. We were talking about Adam Sandler.
Right.
I want to recap with that because, I actually was going to go back around. You not like Adam Sandler?
I like him, but keep in mind, I remember whenever he first broke through comedy albums, and back whenever he was, good grief, what did they call him? He played a bit character every once in a great while on one of the game shows on MTV called Remote Control.
Oh, really?
Which Colin Quinn hosted that at one point. And Kari Wuhrer, if you've ever heard of her, that's where she started out too.
Nice.
I cannot for the life of me remember what the character's name was called, but he almost always had no clothes except underwear on. Yeah, and his comedy at the time, it was breakthrough. It was pretty revolutionary. Plus, I was at that age, rebellious, So it all fell in line there. But then, as time went on, he was just telling the exact same jokes, no evolution. It's same style. It's like his brain is locked into like early puberty.
Right. So I remember Adam Sandler from The Cosby Show as Theo's friend.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard the Bill Cosby story on that?
No, but most Bill Cosby stories are extra creepy now knowing what everybody knows about him.
Okay, we'll talk about Bill Cosby in a little bit, but here's my Adam Sandler Bill Cosby story.
Okay.
And we'll rearrange in a minute, because I actually was going to go into Cosby today. Anyway, so Adam Sandler, of course, auditioned for The Cosby Show. Cosby didn't like him at all. Like, there was a break, and Adam Sandler, harassed him, pretty much all day. He's like, hey, I want you to hear one of my jokes. And Cosby, I guarantee, was, he's the head of that show. It's named after him.
He definitely had more things on his mind
Than a 17-year-old Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, long story short, lunch break came. Adam Sandler cornered him, and he's like, hey, can you watch my stand-up for a little bit? And Bill Cosby's like, yes, I can. Do you mind if I eat a sandwich while I do it? And Sandler goes, yo, no problem, man, no problem. And he does about 15 minutes of the half hour.
Oh, wow.
And Cosby didn't laugh at all.
Oh.
Cosby stared at him. Hello. And just, told him he was not funny. And how he got into show business is beyond Bill Cosby. Which is weird. Just in general. To take a 17-year-old that respects you, and to say that is just, heartbreaking. Remote Control. I never heard of this show.
It was on...
Is it like a...
in the very first decade of MTV.
Was it like a Mad TV?
No, it was an actual straight-up game show.
Like Bill Nye, not Bill Nye, When Ben Signs Money?
No, it was... Okay, you got to ask these questions involving television and pop culture and stuff like that.
Okay.
And they had... they basically all had a Barca lounger that they were strapped into with a seatbelt.
Okay.
And then, you started with 3 contestants, then one's gone, and the next round, there's just the two, and then the last one plays for the championship. Well, anybody who went out, the wall behind them disappeared, and their chair would either slide straight back really fast or flip over with them in it and then disappear.
Wow.
And then they did the, na 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 na, hey, hey. Yeah, every single time somebody was taken off the show.
Wow. That's cool. I'll have to check that out later tonight, probably.
It's definitely interesting.
MTV did a lot of different, awesome shows. Like Tom Green Show.
Yeah, which was definitely groundbreaking for its time.
Yeah. We'll discuss that later.
Him having beef with Eminem, that was hilarious.
Yeah. Anything Tom Green was actually pretty hilarious. Like him trying to sell a pizza on top of the pizza person, and people getting mad like, I don't want your fucking pizza, but it's cheaper.
And you remember what he did to his mom's car?
Yeah, his slipmobile. A couple weeks ago, his best hits was on my Facebook.
Oh, nice.
Like a video, live feed. Yeah. So I forgot a lot of the stuff he's done, but it was so funny. The time he gets on the loud mic at the mall, and he's like, mother. And then the security guy would come and be like, you can't be on that. Oh, I didn't know. And he's like,
as soon as he's gone again, he comes right back.
He would be like, oh, I can't be on this. Mother.
I remember it being 98.
Yeah.
Somewhere in 98, when he had testicular cancer.
Yeah.
And I read that article in Rolling Stone magazine, and, there's actually a line in there that for some reason has always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious, but at the same point, it's really corny the way it was written. Because it's the guy writing the article, he's like, he sits down across from me, he's smiling, he's laughing, we greet, he takes some medication, and you can tell somewhere on the inside he's in pain. And that has always stuck with me. Somewhere on the inside he's in pain. That's well, hilarious. No, we know where.
The only Rolling Stone article I've ever read, the only time I've ever picked that magazine up, it was when Stephen Colbert did the interview.
Yeah.
That was in between when he was running for president. Yeah.
I had a subscription to it from 97 to 99, and then after that I just
so you didn't have the one with Nirvana again.
No, I did not.
That sucks. Anyway, back to the Adam Sandler talk for a few more minutes. So what's your favorite Adam Sandler movie, if you had one?
If I got to pick one, honestly, it's one he's not doing comedy in. I really liked him in Punch Drunk Love.
I've not watched that, and you're the second person.
Overall, his straightforward acting in that is really good, which is the reason why, he's got other skills outside of that same repetitious bag. Right.
The first movie I watched him in was Going Overboard, not the good one.
Right.
The fucking shitty one.
Yeah, the terrible remake.
With Paulie from Rocky.
Yeah.
Horrible movie. The worst movie Paulie has ever been in. That's saying something.
Yeah, he needed the money.
Then there's Billy Madison, which my father and me rented that, which if you knew my father, you'd be like, what the hell? And then there's Happy Gilmore, which I remember my dad also renting me that.
I did like Happy Gilmore.
It was great. It had Bob Barker in it also.
However, my second favorite, I'm going to place that as my third favorite. Oh, right. Yeah, the Price is Wrong, and then them getting on the fight on the green. Yeah. That was hilarious. But I put that as my third favorite. My second favorite is, oddly enough, Little Nicky.
I love Little Nicky.
Little Nicky still makes me laugh.
Little Nicky is underrated. People don't watch it because the devil and heaven and hell and nonsense. Rodney Dangerfield's last movie, I think.
Yeah, it was. He passed shortly after that.
He's supporting the PJs.
Yeah.
And you have the guy from the Green Mile as one of the brothers, and the other brother's famous, but I don't know what he's from. But Little Nicky's great.
Yeah.
Big Daddy, I was a huge fan when I was a kid. Going back, it's not bad. It has Joey Adams, of course.
Well, yeah.
So, of course, that's going to be up there. But my favorite Adam Sandler movie is The Wedding Singer, and that's because me and my brother used to watch it all the time.
It is a funny movie.
Yeah.
But I if I've got to rank them, I'm going to put that one in probably fourth.
Why?
Because, yeah, my favorite of his is not even comedy, really, and...
See, I need to watch Punch Drunk Love. I started it, but I don't know what happened.
I've got a copy in the Philippines.
We're not traveling to the Philippines for Punch Drunk Love.
No.
Or anything Adam Sandler related.
It got left with a bunch of my other DVDs. I used to have a massive collection.
Yeah.
When we had to cut and run really quickly
Mm.
and head back to the States, we could not afford to ship everything back.
I don't blame you. I would have left Punch Drunk Love probably too.
I ended up leaving something like 400 plus DVDs.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Like I said, Wedding Singer is probably my favorite of Adam Sandler. I will slide Little Nicky into the sentence. And then, like, I'm like you. It got old. But, like, then he started a new career by putting all his friends in the movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, for a while, wasn't bad. Because he kept the no-names first.
Yeah.
Which I was fine with. Like, they were in Little Nicky as the heavy metal guys.
Mm-hmm.
They were in Big Daddy as the gay lovers.
Yeah.
They were in Waterboy.
Which, those two, Alan Covert is one of them. And Alan Covert is actually incredibly talented. He didn't play one of the metalheads in Little Nicky. He played the gay roommate, the closeted gay roommate. Right.
He's also done porn,
Well,
I've been told.
I don't know about that, but he also did. It was like Grandma's House or something.
Grandma's
Grandma's Boy. That's it.
That movie is fantastic.
He's the star in that one. That's a good movie. He's actually really talented, and he's a really good writer too.
All three of them are talented.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about Adam Sandler, but...
You know, they were all in with him with the writing and everything.
Yeah.
You know,
I think they're part of his production, Happy Madison production.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know Rob Schneider is, but Rob Schneider, I scratch my head at. And here's why. In the 80s,
mm-hmm.
late 80s, early 90s, Rob Schneider was a star.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was in several Sylvester Stallone movies.
Oh, yeah. It's an abomination to put the Judge Dredd name on that movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd have taken that off and altered the costumes because of the fact that it's such a bastardization of Judge Dredd, which is a traditional comic book from the UK from 2000 comics, and it was great. And Dark Horse eventually brought it over here, and it crossed over with Batman, and yeah, a few other things. Anyway.
He was also in Coach.
Yeah. And, you know, he's actually a really talented guy, but he's had a rough life.
Like, it's really weird. Like,
he's also half Filipino.
mm-hmm.
I think
I knew that.
He's got a new comedy routine getting ready to come out on
Netflix.
Yep, you can actually see the.
Yeah, they got a trailer there on Netflix. Actually,
it's Asian Mama Mexican Kids.
Yeah. Like, he's not my favorite.
No, but funniest thing is, he's probably the most like sincere and introspective out of all of them.
Yeah. Well, maybe David Spade.
Yeah, but Spade had more long-running success overall with all the different things he was involved in. I mean, he was on that one show, Just Shoot Me, for the entire run.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Just Shoot Me that he was on?
I don't know.
I can't remember the name of the show.
TV
but yeah,
shows.
he was on one for the entire run of it. Right now, what I'm doing here with the computer is I'm looking for a very specific one that is a Rob Schneider movie that is definitely not what anybody would expect him to be in. It's really low budget.
I forgot he was in Beverly Hillbillies.
And it starts with it. Oh yeah, and it starts with him basically as a guy who nobody likes, and he tries to hang himself with his tie, and then through this bizarre twist of fate, he ends up basically with native peoples from someplace else loving him and worshiping him and helping him get his life back together. and changing his life for the better. It's the Chosen One. That's it, I believe. Let's see here.
I think you're right.
Yep.
Because I didn't watch it.
Yep.
But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a man. The blurb for it, really quick, is a man finally finds faith in himself after the rest of the world puts its faith in him. The sole being on Earth who can save mankind from its own destruction. He basically ends up with all of these Incans at his house, and they just show up. They just keep showing up.
Right.
And they're trying to convince him, look, you're the only one who can do this. It also had Steve Buscemi in it also.
Steve Buscemi's great.
Steve Buscemi's awesome.
Like, he was a fireman back in the day.
Yeah.
And then, like...
He suited back up for 9/11.
9/11. And if you have not watched Boardwalk Empire, you need to watch it.
I know. However, see, I've liked Steve Buscemi ever since when he really first broke through with Reservoir Dogs.
That's a movie I have not watched.
Oh, you need to watch it. Because that one has so many memorable lines.
He plays Mr. Pink or Pinky or something.
He's one of they're all a color, but I can't for the life remember which color he is.
He's pink, I believe.
But that movie you can see, especially the way it's told.
Yeah.
Because that was the first time you see Tarantino's way of telling a story where it's not necessarily linear.
Right.
And that showcases itself there really, really well. All the acting is excellent in that. It's just an overall good movie. It had an incredibly low budget. Before that, Tarantino was working as a clerk in a video store.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and all he would do is sit and just study movies and watch movies while he was in there.
Nice. But like I said, I see Adam Sandler has two careers. Like his first career as starting off, and then he starts getting his Hollywood friends involved, like a Kevin James, which I cannot stand.
Which they were in the clubs together.
Were they?
Yeah, similar time frame. Which Kevin James, his actual stand-up routine, it's fairly wholesome and pretty decent.
I've heard he's a good guy, but I've also heard he's a dick, so I can't. It's everybody.
He's an aggressive type A personality, and a lot of times those are just taken as being total jackasses, no matter what you do.
Right. Then you got Steve Buscemi, of course, which has always been in his movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get annoyed with Steve Buscemi or Rob Schneider being in his movies, because Rob Schneider for a while was doing the same character over and over and over,
right.
But now he's blossomed in like several different characters, and they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi, same way. Like, he played the homeless guy in Big Daddy.
Yeah.
He played the weird, the brother-in-law in The Wedding Singer. Oh, he's playing guitar, everyone. Thank you very much. Self-taught. Thanks a lot, Pops.
I'd forgotten he says that line. Yeah. Of course, which one was it that was a remake of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington?
Mr. Deeds?
Yeah, they renamed it, but yeah. It was originally, that's a remake, and him playing the guy with his eyes going in both directions and that always makes me laugh. Because, I mean, he's got on that fuzzy-eared toucan hat from like he's Canadian, and then the eye just...
Also, that heavy metal guy's in that. He's like, I thought you were sick. And he's like, do the voice. He's like, I got laryngitis. He's like, you had me fooled. Now go deliver pizza.
Yeah.
And then Chris Rock, he's in some of his movies.
Yeah.
Which Chris Rock cracks me up because he'll do 2 Kevin Smith movies. He'll do 2 Adam Sandler movies. And then, like, he disappears.
Yeah. It's like, he's here for a little bit, they're gone. He's here for a little bit, then he's gone.
He did an HBO, like, talk show back in the day. It was supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
I never watched it, but it's supposed to be really good.
There was a ton of different stuff like that. That was like crossover period stuff. Whenever it's like, hey, this person's hilarious and their stand-up, let's give them a whole bunch of stand-up specials and let's see if we can get them to do this kind of show. And they would kind of try and shoehorn them in.
Right.
But it is what it is. They're
Grandma's
trying to make
Boy
money.
was really good. It has Kevin Nash in it also, which he played Super Shredder. And for you ladies, he was in Magic Mike, the best stripper. Because all he did was wave his arms around.
And you know, if you've seen him do any of the wrestling moves that are really complex, you know he's got more movement skill than that.
Yeah. Well, getting hurt.
Yeah,
That's
true.
a joke. I actually like Kevin Nash, so anytime I know he's in a movie, I'll bring him up. Doris Roberts was in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nick Swartzen.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill's in it?
Yeah.
Who's?
There's a ridiculous amount of people in that movie.
Wow.
You know, you're dipping into old school talent whenever you're dealing with the three that played the grandmother type characters.
Shirley Jones,
Shirley Knight, and Doris Roberts.
Yeah.
And you know, they're all old school talent.
If it's a very underrated movie, Grandma's Boys, but Happy Madison made it, and it's really damn good.
Yeah. It's funny and it's downright disgusting in a few parts, but it is fair to say if you're okay with like sexually disgusting comments, then definitely watch it.
Right.
If you're not, you might want to steer clear.
Before we get off Adam Sandler, what did you think of the Kevin James Adam Sandler movie where they're firemen?
Oh, Meet Chuck and Larry?
Yeah.
I've actually heard that movie referenced even here recently because I was watching something and these two are talking about having to get married and divorced repeatedly just in order to keep citizenship. It's like, looks like we're going to have to Chuck and Larry him again. That's the third time this year. So, I mean, yeah. I've definitely seen worse movies.
Dan Aykroyd's in it?
Yeah, she's the love interest in Grandma's Boy. And she also played Velma in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, the first two.
Was she in That 70s Show?
I don't believe so.
As Ashton Kutcher's baby mama?
I don't know.
Hello, Bob.
She was in Muppets Now, the TV series.
Oh.
Love me some Muppets. She did a lot of Robot Chicken voices. She's done a lot of cartoon voices too, like for Sanjay and Craig, Gravity Falls.
She's a new girl.
Mm-hmm.
As Abby Day.
She plays
Whoever the fuck that is.
Clint Barton's wife.
Zoe's sister, I believe.
You know, Clint Barton, Hawkeye, in Age of Ultron, she plays his wife.
So it is her.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but she doesn't come back as his wife anymore after that.
So that is...
She did the voice of Cordelia in one of my all-time favorite and most messed up video games, Lollipop Chainsaw.
Nice.
If you don't know anything about it, I suggest you look it up.
She's Lauren from Boy Meets World. She is the one that almost got in between Topanga and Corey. The one I wish he would have went with. I'm really weird when it comes to TV shows.
I see the torn between two lovers there.
Yeah.
As the title for one of them.
She even came back for, it doesn't show it, but Girl Meets World. The spin-off of Boy Meets World. Where,
Back in the mid to late 90s, she was on Bone Chillers, which was a syndicated...
I remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I remember it.
Yeah, she played a character named Sarah in that.
Okay, so we're going to jump topics and go back to Bill Cosby. All right. So, is it ironic that we know what we know now about Bill Cosby? But isn't it odd that he was the guy that would give Eddie Murphy a call and be like, you shouldn't fucking cuss.
Mm-hmm. Telling him, you don't need to work blue. You don't need to work blue. Watch your mouth. You're making the rest of us look bad.
And then, have you heard the Eddie Murphy Richard Pryor story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, what happened was Eddie Murphy got upset. Bill Cosby called him, right? And Richard Pryor was one of his heroes. Him and Red Fox was his mentors, right?
Right.
Well, then Richard Pryor goes, "Are you making money?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "You tell Bill Cosby to shut his fucking mouth, drink his Coke, and be quiet."
Yeah.
I heard that this week and laughed my ass off.
Yeah, well, which if you know, one of the most often cited punchlines, but most people can't seem to remember where the joke came from, that the punchline's part of. Mm-hmm. The whole, wrecked him, damn near killed him. That is a Richard Pryor bit.
Okay.
And that's off of the album Live at the Sunset Strip.
Oh, okay.
And that was just a little aside whenever you mentioned Richard Pryor.
Well, today, because we were talking about 70s movies last week, I actually looked up today. Literally, I got at work an hour early and sat in the break room and was just diddling on
Hey, free Wi-Fi.
internet. I don't use it.
It is slower than dirt.
Yeah. So I looked up 70s movies, famous 70s movies, and Richard Pryor's light comedy was one of them. I wasn't going to bring it up, but then you did.
Well, you've got him and Gene Wilder in so many movies together.
See, they didn't bring up any of them, like Car Wash or that one where he's a billionaire and has to spend the money.
Brewster's Millions. I saw that at a drive-in whenever I was a kid as a double feature with Taps.
Wow. Or any of that. Like, that didn't pop up, but Willy Wonka did.
Right. And then you had The Toy, also another underrated movie.
Yeah. I never watched that. But, I've heard good things. I just never watched it.
Well, you've got the guy who played, what's his name? The sheriff in Cannonball Run.
Oh, okay.
He plays the kid's dad.
Oh. But the 70 movies we didn't even think of. Clockwork Orange.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which, it's a cult classic. I have not watched it.
It's definitely different from the book, but they kind of had to make it different from the book.
Right.
Because he's only 15 in the book. And there's, sexual threesomes in there with him and these two other girls. And, they definitely had to change it. But stylistically, that's one of my favorites, Kubrick's movies, because of the fact that he nailed a style that at that point nobody had even touched.
Snoopy Come Home.
Yeah.
There was a Snoopy Thanksgiving, which on the site itself, that's what was bringing up.
Yeah, yeah.
Lorax, the Dr. Seuss.
Oh yeah, the very first animated version of Lorax. Yeah. Not to be confused with the one that Danny DeVito did the voice for.
Yeah, that was really confused for me. I was like, wait a minute. Grease.
Yeah.
And I was like, eh.
My ex-wife's favorite movie, and I can't stand it.
I had a period where I was dating someone and they loved Grease, so like I was forced to watch it like all the fucking time.
You feel like you get hit over the head with it?
Yeah. So I liked it for maybe 6 months when when they had that show come out, like on Fox or something.
Yeah, yeah. What was that?
Grease something or other. John Travolta showed up.
Yeah, it was basically like a Next Generation spin-off type thing.
Yeah. I'm still gonna say Rocky, Godfather Part 2, Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's still the ones that we said last week.
Right.
Are still the Smokey and Bandit. Are the ones that are probably the best 70s movies.
Well,
still.
You still got, 2001 came out of there too, didn't it?
I don't know.
A Space Odyssey?
I never watched that, so I don't know.
And then one that I'm going to sneak in there because it's a personal favorite best from the 70s. It came out the year I was born, 1977. I'm beginning to get aged. And it's called The Car.
I've heard of it.
If you've never watched it, it is one of the most backcrap crazy things.
Is that the one with Robin Williams and Tim Robinson?
No. This is not a comedy.
Oh, okay.
Not in any way. This is a straight up, just truly bizarre horror movie.
Oh.
And see if I can bring up this was the movie poster for it. Is it a phantom, a demon, or the devil himself? There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Oh, I've heard of this.
No way to stop the car. And that was their tagline.
I would not watch it from that poster at any shape or form. But...
Yeah. I get that. But you can see this car. It's not, there's no make, there's no model. They started out with like one base car and started mixing it together into something that just never existed before.
It looks like a Man in Black car.
A little bit, yeah. Like one of the old schools. But there's stuff in this movie that just... If you want
Does
something...
the car eat people?
No, it crushes them. It just runs them over and kills them.
Oh.
Including ramping through a house about 6 feet off the ground.
So this movie and Cujo probably came out around the same time, right?
Close. Real close.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend this if you want something that's just batcrap crazy and gets weirder and weirder until the end. The end is just one of the strangest things ever. I highly recommend it. you won't regret it if you're looking for just bizarre, insane fun.
Is Joyride better?
Joyride's an entirely different type of movie, though.
Okay.
Because the car doesn't have a driver.
That's true.
And you can't even see in it.
I was thinking that the car pulls into a gas station and a guy comes out and pumps in gas. The end.
Right, yeah. Of course, if you're doing movies like that, then The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer playing the hitchhiker, that movie's amazing. And the ending, that ending had so many people going, "What did I just watch?" That, I mean, it does not have a happy ending, but that's back in the days whenever they weren't afraid to give you a movie that didn't have a happy ending.
Since we have a breaking point right here, I am going to promote something that I went to last week. I told her I would, and before I forget to not do this, because I have a tendency of doing stuff I want and then forget to. If you guys need a awesome haircut place and you're close to Princeton, you guys need to check out Hero Hair. I remember sending you a text last week of a picture and you're like, Hero Hair? And you're like, question mark?
Like, hair hero hair, what?
See, I've been going to, I work for a place that has a haircut place inside, and they're great and all, but during this pandemic, it's hard to get into. And my hair grew and grew and grew. And there's this lady that always comes into my shop that has, I've always noticed that even when I worked the self-check, she has a Joker tattoo. Well, I didn't think nothing about it. I was like, that's cool. I always comment on the tattoo. I was like, that's cool. And so one day, one of my coworkers was like, she owns a hair salon. It's comic book theme. Well, she came in that same day.
Oh, okay.
I was like, hey, I hear you have a hair salon. And she's like, yes, I do. And she told me where it was. I actually thought it was on the other side of town.
Okay.
But I had to go to the BMV last week because my tags were going to expire. Well, as I was walking by, back through, mad because I couldn't get in the BMV, I found Hero Hair. And I was like, oh my God, here it is. They have a sign outside that has superheroes on it. And then you walk in, and the chairs you sit in are gaming chairs.
Nice, very nice.
Really comfortable. Everybody was really nice. It was only $20 for a haircut and get your hair washed too. So it was an awesome place. At every cubicle, they have the Batman symbol on it.
Very nice.
They also have a picture of Harley Quinn from Birds of Prey. So I was all over the place taking pictures.
Yes, which you sent me some of the pictures, and it's like, hey, I gotta go there next time I need a haircut.
I made an appointment. They're like, oh, can you come back in a half hour? I was like, well, my lunch is at 5. And they made sure someone was there so I could get my haircut that day.
Cool. And
it's in Princeton, Indiana, so everybody's nice. It's a small business. They would appreciate the help of everybody coming in. Like I said, everybody's really nice there, and they did a great job on my hair. So I would really appreciate if everybody goes there. It's a small business, and if you're a comic book fan, you will love it. Which, you don't get a lot of that around here. So you got comic book stores, of course, and then small cons are here and there, but actual business that lets you nerd out. The inside is gaming also. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. I've definitely got to go in and get one.
The back booth had music posters too. I sent you a picture of the UFO Foo Fighters, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Then the Exorcist poster was there too.
Nice.
So, but check it out, Hero Hair in Princeton. Like I told, I would promote this, and I was actually shocked they were okay with it. So I think I'm just going to keep promoting this until they tell me to stop.
There you go. And we are not sponsored. He's actually giving his, opinion based 100% on his experience.
Yeah, I'm not getting paid, and I don't expect to get paid. I just like them, so I'm going to promote them. So, it's at least worth checking out for like the Batman. You can see the Batman symbol. Mm-hmm. There's a cool thing in the back. It's like, I would call it like a dressing room like thing.
Okay.
But it has like, it's clear, and they have Batman symbols on it too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So Hero Hair is a great place. Go check it out. I recommend it. So, all right, Brandon. What else you want to talk about?
If we're veering into Bill Cosby at all,
we were.
Yeah. I do want to really quickly touch on something that I've heard repeatedly on Gilbert Gottfried's podcast, and I've heard verified by a few of his guests. So more than one person has experienced this firsthand.
Okay.
Whenever Cosby was doing the Cosby Show, their shooting schedule was, morning through afternoon till it was in the can.
Right.
A weekly show, you've got so many days to rehearse, get the script ready, all that, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then...
Plus the kids' school schedule.
Right. Which a lot of them were theater kids where they get trained, or not trained, but they have a tutor who tutors them on set, stuff like that. But he had a time slot set off after lunch. It was an hour every day. And it was marked in the books, in the time logs, as 1 hour for teaching comedy to Asian models. And every day it was a different model of the Asian ethnicity. You can't tell me, because, look at, like Gilbert Gottfried said, oh yeah, and look at all these funny Asian women we have now. And which means nothing. It's there's nothing.
There's that one.
They had to have known something. I mean, just they were hiding secrets because he had power and money.
Mm-hmm.
Power, it corrupts. But yeah, I mean, they knew he was dirty from the start.
Well, Joe Rogan, I think it was, said he could read between the lines during the comedy acts and know what he was trying to get at.
There was some implied, definitely, yeah. And see, that's regretful to me because I grew up listening to comedy albums, like straight up vinyl, old school. And, there's a routine he does on there talking about how he's giving his kids pretty much whatever they want to eat for breakfast. And he starts giving them cake because, it's got eggs in it. It's got flour, that's grains. And he goes down and rationalizes it all off. And then his wife comes back, like, while the kids are eating chocolate cake. And the kids are sitting there singing, Dad is great. He gives us chocolate cake. And then she walks in and suddenly they're not talking anymore. They just shut up. And it's all on him. Was he a comedic genius? Yes. Was he a terrible person? Absolutely. But at the same time, looking back, it all kind of dirties my memories now. I don't feel violated or anything. It's just like knowing now what I know. It's like, wow, that's messed up.
Not defending him at all, but because I'm not.
Right.
But I'm a huge George Carlin fan.
Oh yeah.
Now he didn't drug women.
No.
But he had his demons.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
Pryor had his.
Whenever George Carlin finally died, it was because of damage done to his heart muscle back when he had a cocaine addiction.
Right.
He'd been clean for years and years and years, but that damage had already been done. Scar tissue on the heart ain't no joke.
Comedians have to be fucked up.
Well, that's something that, Robin Williams has said it, and a bunch of others have said it, which, Jonathan Winters. Jonathan Winters influenced so many different comedians and different genres of comedy. He had to check himself into mental asylums multiple times in his life because he just could not take it. Comedy, for a lot of comedians, and this has been discussed over and over, there's even actually some college courses on it at big, huge name universities like NYU. But comedy comes as a defense mechanism from a very dark, dark place. It's a way to deal with truly being miserable for one reason or another either emotionally or due to physical issues, whatever.
Well, if you ever hear me tell a joke, about 75% of time, it's either going to be on religion
Mm-hmm.
or me being completely a jackass sarcasm.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Like, and like people, I have people that work with me, and when I throw out a church joke, it used to offend people.
Then they just kind of got to where it's like, oh, okay, that's just Joseph.
Yeah, like, my friends are that same way, and then every once in a while they'll ask me why I am saying something like that.
Right.
And usually if I'm telling a joke about something like that, I have a reason behind it.
Right.
And like, it's not...
You're not just doing it to be mean-spirited.
Right. And at my shop, I have quite a bit of church people come in and try to lead me to the Lord, they say.
I didn't know he was missing.
But that being said, I don't mind having a conversation about church.
Right.
I don't. I have had experience in my past that you're not going to know unless you know me deeply. And like, the people that do know me closely don't know the whole stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
They only know glimpses of what I let people know. And that's who I am. If I was on stage, I would probably be really dark. Which is nothing wrong with that. I can see why Ron Williams is the way he is. I can see why George Carlin is the way he is. I'm not condoning anybody's actions.
No.
But it is a therapy.
Yeah. It's a way to get it out of your system, but at the same time, it comes from that dark, dark place. Mm-hmm. And it seems like the more messed up somebody is, which this is true not just of comedy even, because, I mean, look at Van Gogh.
Yeah.
He was verifiably nuts. And there's been so many people who either had some form of schizophrenia, some form of severe, like, manic depression, which nowadays is known as bipolar,
right,
where they constantly swing back and forth. And it seems like, typically the more artistic a person is, no matter what form their art takes, music, painting, comedy, whatever, it seems like everybody's just a little bit off kilter. And
well, look at my hero, Bill Murray.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I've said it for years. Like, he is one of my heroes.
Mm-hmm.
One reason is because when I was a kid, I found him hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Like, my parents would not laugh at his stuff as much as I did. Like, Groundhog's Day, fan-fucking-tastic.
Don't drive angry. Don't drive angry.
Is it too early for flapjacks?
Yeah. Ned Niedermeyer. Oh yeah.
Ned
Ryerson. That's it. Not Niedermeyer. That's an entirely different thing. Yeah,
yes, it is.
Ned Ryerson. Let's see. What was Nancy's last name? Nancy. Is that you? One. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know off the top of my head. While we're here on Groundhog's Day, let me complete my thought, and then I'll get back to Groundhog's Day. Do we not think Bill Murray doesn't have a depression problem? Just look at the guy. Like, people are like, in Hollywood, are like, oh, be funny, Bill. And he's like, I'll punch you right in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have some similar things. Like, people at work will be like, you need a smile. I will rip your face off.
Like, don't tell me what to do. You don't know my life. I do what I want. You're not the boss of me.
That's the only highlight of my job right now is I'm wearing a mask and people don't have to see my facial expressions.
Right.
Because believe me, people, if you saw my facial expressions by me watching you, you would not like it.
I never knew somebody could flip someone off with their bottom lip. That's a skill.
No. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things. You can never really know somebody, but Bill Murray during the 80s especially, he got a notorious reputation, and they called him the Murricane, because he would come in and he was very demanding. He wanted things his way. He had a pretty severe drug problem at the time.
But who didn't?
He got busted going through the airport one time and delayed an entire film shoot because of the fact that they asked him if he had any illegal drugs or anything, and he said, yes, I have, 2.5 pounds of marijuana in my bag, and he did. He actually had 2.5 pounds of marijuana in his bag.
Have you heard that host story though?
I've heard bits and pieces.
That host story is he was actually on the plane as it was in the air, and the lady was annoying the fuck out of him next to him because he wasn't famous at the time.
No,
he didn't do Saturday Night Live yet.
No, he had done Second City, and he was coming to the New York region to try and get. I know that where he was trying to really get dug in.
Well, anyway, he was sitting on a plane. The lady was fucking annoying the hell out of him. He looks over and goes, "I have a bomb in my luggage." Lady flips her lid. They stop the damn plane, of course.
Yeah.
I think they made it to their destination.
And that was during a period when you had a lot of plane hijackings. A lot of them.
And so he's made that comment. Gets down. They asked him if he has...
That's where the weed thing came in?
Yeah. It was cocaine.
Oh, it was cocaine?
Yeah.
I thought it was weed. Either way, he got
some jail time.
He had a bunch.
Yeah, he got jail time.
Yeah, this was not like a small personal use amount of drugs. This was like a brick.
Look up. I think he served like maybe a couple years.
I can do that.
I want to say he served like 6 years.
Good grief.
Because I don't know if... Because this is before, I think, he became...
Apparently his son has been arrested for assault and battery multiple times.
Well, not all his sons can stay out of jail like me.
Yeah, it's a skill.
I make a joke. My mom's like, always making comments. I was like, who's my real father? And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Bill Murray. We have the same hairline from the 90s.
Let's see. Slept rough on the set. Months as a court order banned him from living in his own home.
Wow.
Yeah. He was attacked by two men who believed they were supplying drugs to their daughters.
Well, anyway,
he's had a lot of dark in his life.
Well, I think his dad died, and he wasn't the comedy relief that you would think he was. His brothers were actually the funnier ones.
Yeah.
So he was actually a big disappointment in his mom's life during this time period. And she asked once he got out of jail what he's going to do. And he's like, I don't know. So then, his brother is going to a comedy, stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you want to come? And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, get on stage with me. And that's what started
Oh, nice.
Bill Murray's comedy. And then he went to Sentence City, which is in Chicago. Which I think...
Well, the original one's in Toronto.
Okay. And this one was in Chicago.
Yeah, then there's the one in Chicago, yeah.
And he met John Belushi. This before John Belushi hit big. He was big in Chicago.
Yeah.
But no one knew him yet.
It was localized.
Yeah. And then he went to... John went to, the Lapoons.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did Sentence City in Toronto on top of Saturday Night Live. So he's doing all this shit.
Yeah, a lot of flying back and forth.
And then Chevy Chase, of course, went and made movies instead of stay on set and thought he was a big fucking deal when he wasn't.
He still thinks he is.
Anyway, that being said, Bill got his spot because of John Belushi.
Right.
And it didn't go so well at first till he literally begged the audience to keep him on Saturday Night Live. And that's what changed everything.
Yeah.
So, Bill Murray, after Ghostbusters, he had to get away.
Oh, yeah.
That was in 84. He went to Europe for, what, a couple years? 4 years?
Yeah.
Because he literally, people would be like, Venkman? And, he would be with, Harold Ramis and, jump on the fan, beat the shit out of him. And then, there was one fan that was so ironic while Bill Murray was beating the shit out of him that he started laughing. So it pissed Bill Murray off even more.
So he hit him harder.
Yeah.
Which I mean, Bill Murray, like I said, he's got that darkness in him, but at the same time, all of a sudden, he's thrown into the world where everyone in the world recognizes him pretty much.
Yeah, after a career almost dead.
Yeah, and then that would be mind-blowingly difficult, honestly, because you go from, I can go anywhere, I can do whatever I want, to suddenly you can't even go out and buy a loaf of bread
All right.
without people accosting you, wanting crap from you.
And that's a shame, I mean. All right, back to my Groundhog's Day. So, I have a theory.
Okay.
Well, I have a lot of theories, but this one is pretty... All right, so Bill lives his life over and over and over in Groundhog's Day.
Right.
I think they said, like, over 1,000 years at the time.
Yeah, somebody actually did the math on it.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
Harold Ramis has said that it's a Buddhist movie.
Yeah.
So
it's symbolic of reincarnation.
Yeah. Which... Okay.
Columbia Pictures presents I May Be Having a Problem. Bill Murray. I'm reliving the same day over and over in a story about a weatherman who's living life like there's no tomorrow. Don't drive angry because there isn't. I am an immortal. I have been stabbed, shot, frozen, electrocuted.
You're God.
I'm a god. I'm
Not the god.
Groundhog Day, rated PG, at theaters Friday.
Chris Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Elliott's underrated. But anyway,
Yeah, he is.
what I was saying was, Neil Riderson is the fucking devil in Groundhog's Day, in my opinion. He's the only one that knows Phil.
Yeah, and he does know him. And it's not just happenstance, because he is the only one who actually knows him from outside of his weather career.
Yeah, like, you'll be like, oh, he knew him in high school. Does he now? Like, does it not happen as soon as he meets Ned Riderson again the first time in the movie? All hell breaks loose?
It does definitely seem like it.
I mean, you can say it's coincidences all you want, but Ned Riderson is the key there.
Okay.
And if you're God, per se,
Right.
are you forcing this whole town that Phil's staying in to continue living like this? Are they stuck in time with Phil? Or have they gone ahead
And moved on and left him behind, basically.
Yeah.
Which, getting into, like, the construct of time and all that, that's a whole nother animal. I could run a whole day on that, especially if I've been drinking. But it's definitely, because time is not linear.
Right.
There's definitely a possibility of that, because, pocket time could have broke off and then back around until he had learned his lesson. But if you're going about that route, then it's got to be something similar to, like, akin to purgatory.
Right.
But I'm not sure if that's, because I always thought that the groundhog played a bigger part in it also.
You think so? How so?
Because I think the groundhog, because the fact that, if he sees his shadow, you get that repetition.
Right.
I think it's symbolic of the entire trip, because of the fact that the groundhog, he comes out, he sees it, he sees that darkness, his own shadow, and basically he'll keep coming back until the darkness is gone. Hide from the darkness, but if you see that there's no darkness, then stay out in the light.
That's true.
Just kind of a metaphor. Also, by the way, Stephen Tobolowsky is the guy who played Ned, and he has his own podcast. I highly, highly recommend it. He is a very, very funny dude, and a great host.
Bing!
Plus, he's got that really unique speaking voice.
Nice.
I highly recommend it if you've never heard it. I believe it's called the Tobolowsky Files.
Oh.
I've got.
What is it actually about, though?
Yeah, it's Tobolowsky Files. He goes through and He basically tells these stories about his life, love, the entertainment industry.
He's from Louisville, Kentucky?
Yeah.
Wow.
And like right here, I've got it in front of me. It says, Stephen shares series of stories about life, love, the entertainment industry. The stories are funny, profound, and moving. In his lifetime, Tobolowsky has some pretty wild and crazy adventures, not to mention the fact he's worked with directors like Paul Verhoeven, Harold Ramis, Christopher Nolan, Spike Jonze, just name a few. And a lot of the stories he tells are things that happened while he was on movie sets, things like that. And he picks basically a theme for each episode and tells a story from his life that ties into that theme and where that meant something to him.
He's aged well.
Yeah. And
he still looks like the guy that has the hat on.
Yeah. You know, he still looks like Ned Ryerson.
Did you see the Groundhog commercial during the Super Bowl? Last year.
No, but only because, one, I don't watch the Super Bowl, and two, I don't have anything other than streaming services.
Okay. I'll send it to you later.
Yeah, I like commercials are something I almost never see.
I don't recommend any commercial ever, but this one took me back to Groundhog's Day.
Okay.
His brother's in it, because you know his brother's the mayor.
Right. Brian Doyle Murray.
Yeah. So, and Caddyshack is because the Murray brothers, their stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but that's a different time.
Which there you're dealing with a gopher instead of a groundhog.
Yeah.
Entirely different ground rodent.
And not church related at all.
No, not even really. No. Watching that movie as a kid was that like the first time that it really hit me what you could do with a Baby Ruth in a swimming pool.
Oh, yeah. Fred from Roseanne is the main kid character.
Yeah.
Teenager.
Yeah.
Is. Get back to Fred in a minute. What's your favorite Bill Murray movie? We kind of got on a Bill Murray catch and we're probably not going to leave.
That's okay. I mean, we call it Sidetrackers for a reason. We can't stay on one subject. We don't do it well. Yeah, I swear if a butterfly flew past right now, I'd probably follow it outside. That's just how
my
I
mom
am.
in church.
Yeah, it's like, hey, ooh, look. But anyway, I would say, let's see. Because, I mean, I loved Lost in Translation. I saw it in theaters. Which honestly, I kind of agree. You know, I don't like how he responded to it because he threw a tantrum and
Bill?
and basically shunned Hollywood for a while because he didn't get an Oscar nod for that.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
With him.
Yeah. But he didn't handle it well. And I like that movie, I really do. You know, I've been in situations where a lot of similar themes. And I've traveled a lot. I've been in a lot of different countries. And sometimes anything that reminds you of your original home where you came from will become like a draw to you because it feels safe. It feels, it feels like something's there even if there's nothing there. I'm not going to go into too many details on that, but it was, for me, a very moving film. Comedy-wise, favorite, I mean, he's done so many that are absolutely epic. I saw Stripes at a drive-in theater as a kid.
Nice.
Love that movie. But I still got to keep going back to Ghostbusters. And that's just, I love that movie because it so encapsulates a certain period of my life as a kid. And, back when I still wasn't jaded and ruined by life, when I still felt something and gave a crap and I had that childhood wonder.
Right.
Before life just repeatedly kicked me in the nuts and left me for dead. And, that's another story too. We don't have time for that. I gotta say, comedy-wise, that's probably my favorite of his. Plus, I've always liked things that had, paranormal, sci-fi, horror bent to them.
All right.
I love him in Zombieland.
Yeah.
He's one of the best parts of that movie, in my opinion. Then I actually watched one as a younger adult called Razor's Edge, and it's based on a true story.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of his first dramatic roles, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay, I watched Razor Edge.
Yeah.
As a huge Bill Murray fan as I was, I'm not a fan. I remember watching it, I'm like, this sucked. But I was a kid.
Right.
I'm an adult now, I would love to watch that again.
I can probably make that happen.
On the other hand, what's great about that movie is John Belushi died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Bill Murray is the eulogist.
Mm-hmm.
And he says at his best friend's funeral, he just goes out completely. He goes, "This guy was a horrible, horrible motherfucker.
Yeah, yeah.
He's going to fucking burn."
Yeah, yeah.
But the Razor's Edge,
Mm-hmm.
there's a scene where he gives John Belushi's real eulogy.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know where it's at. That's why I want to rewatch it.
I can probably make that happen for you. I really like that movie, but I've studied a lot of different Eastern philosophy, Eastern religions, things like that.
Yeah, that's another
and
one.
That's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's about this guy who's been through hell and back, through war, through strife. Alcohol and drugs didn't fill the hole in his heart.
See, I probably would love this movie now because I was a kid.
Yeah, you definitely just saw it at the wrong time.
Yeah, as an adult, and what
yeah.
I've been through now.
Oh yeah, and this guy, he starts getting into more and more self-destructive behaviors, and it's all an attempt to fill the hole he's got inside and all this pain and loss, and he ends up, before it's all over with, not discovering religion, but he ends up discovering spirituality.
And which in real life, Harold Ramis got him to study like a Buddhism or this or that.
Yeah, which it's based off of a true story, a guy who really went through this stuff, and actually worse stuff they couldn't put in the movie. I've read the autobiography of the guy's life. He's also one of the guys that started pushing for translations of the Bhagavad Gita, which is a religious text in the Hindu faith and just Middle Eastern, well, Far Eastern, not Middle Eastern, culture in general. But it's the Bhagavad Gita.
Nice.
And that's the book that's in there in that movie.
Right.
Right.
So my favorite Bill Murray movie, everybody's going to be like, it's Ghostbusters. Put a halt on that.
Okay.
Just halt. I love Ghostbusters. I talk about the real Ghostbusters all the time.
Oh, which, by the way, I still love that cartoon.
It keeps the dawn of time. And like I said a couple weeks ago, they cannot remake that cartoon.
Mm-mm. They tried in the 90s. They didn't try to remake it. They tried to add on to it.
Yeah.
And it just...
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, but it didn't...
Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air played a voice.
Yeah, yeah. And Tara Strong, which if you know who she is... Tara Strong has been doing voices forever and a day, and she's crazy talented.
Crazy hot, too.
Yeah, yeah.
She played Raven on Teen Titans Go. Well, still is. Raven on the regular, and she's Raven on the DC animated series too.
Which DC took a huge hit this week.
Yeah, I was going to discuss that in a little bit. I don't know the complete story on that yet, so... but anyway, my favorite movie is What About Bob?
Which is a hilarious movie.
If you have not saw it, which if you know me and you have not saw it, you're lucky you don't have a copy. Because I've gave everybody a fucking copy that I know personally.
You just walking around handing them out on the street.
I'll go Trader Bakers, and there's one for like...
Yeah, it's like, here, baby steps. Baby steps. Come on, people. Baby steps.
I have done that. I've also bought it like 5 fucking times for myself.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's how much I've used that damn movie.
I've done similar with movies I really love. I'll end up buying it, giving a copy away. Then I'll buy it again for myself, give that copy away. Just, yeah.
I love What About Bob.
Yeah.
Bill Murray says we all know a Bob. I kind of feel like sometimes I am Bob of my friends. Like, not in a good way, but they put up with me. I want the Don't Hassle Me, I'm Local shirt. I will quote What About Bob quite often and see if anybody realizes it. They don't.
All day, every day.
Yeah. Also quote Lucifer, and no one realizes what I'm doing on that either. But that being said, Ghostbusters My Sin.
Right.
I count that as a group of comedians coming together and making this movie.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily a one or the other. It is an ensemble piece.
It's not a good movie
It takes all of them.
if you don't have Dan Aykroyd.
Right.
Or a Harold Ramis. Or Ernie Hudson.
Right.
Or Rick Moranis.
Which, have you heard any of the stories about Dan Aykroyd's original script?
John Belushi was supposed to be in it.
Right.
He was actually going to be in Bill Murray's spot.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Murphy disclaims this, but it's bullshit. I know he's lying. He was supposed to be in Ernie Hudson's spot. Harold was going to be in Harold's spot.
Right, yeah.
And Aykroyd was going to be in.
Nobody could replace Harold Ramis.
Now, John Candy was supposed to be in Rick Moranis' spot.
That would have been interesting.
But he couldn't grasp the character. He wanted it to be Russian, and he wanted dogs.
No, that wouldn't have worked.
I'm not a John Candy fan. Like, I like him in Stripes.
Yeah.
Uncle Buck, maybe.
I liked Uncle Buck.
But past that, not a big fan. But
The Great Outdoors.
Outdoors is good.
Seriously, I enjoy The Great Outdoors.
Which was with Dan Aykroyd.
Right.
It's in the $5 bin, people. Pick it up.
True.
It's worth $5. That being said, Rick Moranis makes that character. And Sigourney Weaver makes Sigourney Weaver's squirrel. Yes, it was supposed to be a futuristic movie with a bunch of Ghostbusters.
Right.
And yeah, it would have been interesting. I think what we're going to get with the new movie coming out, we're still going to have the ladies.
Yeah.
If we do this right.
I'm curious how that's going to work, but one thing also, there is multiple copies of the original Dan Aykroyd script because he changed it multiple times. There is one where they actually go into a hell dimension and start battling demons on their own turf. There are several variations of this that, some even more outrageous than that are rumored to exist, but nobody except the people who would have been involved would know about it.
Harold Ramis.
And Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were the only ones who would have known.
Maybe the director.
Maybe. Because most of this stuff was all pre-production.
Mm.
So, I mean, it was even before they got it greenlit as a movie.
Yeah.
Aykroyd has some definitely interesting out there theories. And he's just a really entertaining dude in general.
Okay. I thought you were going to go further in there.
Well, I could have, but I just,
Okay.
my train of thought derailed. It went, oh, crap. That's it.
I wanted to get back to Dan Aykroyd, but are we done talking about Ghostbusters?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So last week we talked about Dan Aykroyd, and I'm glad you brought up his theories.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read his grandpa's book that he republished?
I have not, and I really want to get a hold of a copy to read.
I have that.
Oh, nice.
Do you remember Ray Stantz from Ghostbusters?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how he talks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that whole demeanor and everything. I've heard it was based on his grandpa. I knew that.
That's how the book, you have to read it.
It reads that way too?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So you read 3 pages and have to set it aside. You read 3 pages and have to set it aside.
It's like a quick insane rant and then another quick insane rant and a quick insane rant and yeah.
It's so much fucking history.
Oh, yeah.
Like with Ray Stantz.
It would have to be because he always wanted to over-explain everything, which, makes me wonder if because I have to put a leash on myself, otherwise I will over-explain. I have a terrible habit of that, but I'm on Spectrum, so, it's kind of expected. Also, I wanted to mention him real quick as a side, but we can do it after.
Okay.
Because if you've never seen all the other things he's in, he's amazing. We're looking at something on my computer, that's the reason.
But back to Dan, the book's fantastic.
Definitely cool. I gotta check that out.
I have a copy. I might be able to find it and get it to you. As long as I get back, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But accidentally found it. It was like Destiny or something. Like, I was in a bookstore,
Yeah.
Barnes and Nobles, and of course, for the longest time in Barnes and Nobles, I would go into the paranormal section.
Right.
And
a lot of entertaining stuff in there. Whether you believe it or not, it's all still really interesting reads.
yeah. And I happily had to tie my shoe.
Mm-hmm.
And looked up, and there's a green book there.
Just right there at head level.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I saw the words Dan Aykroyd. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? So I pull it, and there he is, like his grandpa's book.
Nice.
And if you don't know anything about Dan Aykroyd's family, and I will get back to the Men in Black scenario in a minute that we were discussing last week, his grandpa is a big politician in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a big deal.
Like, you talk about, let's say, the Clintons or the Bushes or the Kennedys.
Mm-hmm.
The Aykroyds in Canada are that. So, if the Men in Black did in the 80s come to Dan and start telling him, quit looking into this shit that we talked about last week.
Yeah, that would definitely
make
sense.
That's odd. Because, A, he has a book.
But at the same time, if they're telling him that, maybe they're suspecting that he'll reach back to Canada and, somehow spread something they don't want out there.
I mean...
Because, his family's more far-reaching there.
Right. And that's what I was saying last week, like, with... I'll talk about paranormal. I'll talk about aliens. I'll talk about... Actually, look up that Low Files intro really fast, and we'll get back to this guy. I told you last week that I was on a radio show about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a paranormal show. And we were talking about ghost boxes and shit like that. And... yeah, the intro. Hold on a minute. It was asked during that radio show, what can we do to get the paranormal, or I'm just going to call it paranormal, into the mainstream? And I made the comment that it will never be in the mainstream like we want it to.
Right.
Because Adolf Hitler was a big supporter. He had a cult following. His third in command was a wizard of some sort, or...
Well, they created the cult of Thule, and they co-opted a bunch of... Well, like the Nibelung, which they believe they were descended from. They patched together bits and pieces of Norse mythology, Teutonic mythology, Eastern religion, and Eastern language. And they patched it all together into this patchwork and said, okay, if you want to be in the highest levels of the SS, the Wehrmacht, then you have to be in the Cult of Thule, you have to attend the meetings, you have to go through the ceremonies. And, the reason he was in Africa in the first place, it wasn't so much to defend that front, it was because he was looking for information in countries like Egypt and trying to gather more and more relics and different magical rites so that he could get all these powers, which, getting into the Spear of Destiny thing, that's all another animal. Some people believe he legitimately had it, and then it was taken from him by Allied Special Forces and replaced with a duplicate copy. And that's whenever the war started turning on him.
I think so.
If it does what they say it does, then there's a real strong chance of it. The Order of the Black Sun, that was another group that he had that went out and looked for relics. He sent one branch to look for Shangri-La. Mm-hmm. And they came back with Lord knows what. And,
I honestly believe whatever Hitler was dabbling in was working. I believe me and my buddy Eric believes that they have had alien technology. Look at after World War II. They basically told them not to can be a military anymore.
Right.
They still, exceeded,
Oh, yeah. But then also look at all the sheer number of
Russia also
engineers and scientists that through Operation Paperclip, we split up between us and Russia, and that's actually where the Cold War really started, was because we're divided over who got who when it came to the scientists. Right. And all of a sudden, all of our tech starts leaping forward. Their tech is still leaping forward, but now it's no longer war-based. Right. Russia's tech leapt forward right up until you ran into the issue with they managed to slaughter 300 million of their own people.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, like, there's definitely something there.
Yeah. And Hitler's not the only mainstream paranormal person.
Oh, no.
Jackie Gleason was a huge UFO person. I will tell the same story I told on that radio show that I know that I got from Art Bell. Nice. So I'm not going to. I'm not stealing anything from anybody. I told this story before. I'm going to tell it again because I want to believe in this story. Jackie Gleason playing golf with Richard Nixon. They're on the 13th hole, and Jackie Gleason's up, and he's hitting the golf ball, and he looks back at Nixon, and he makes a joke saying, "Is there any alien information you can give me?" He hits the ball. Richard Nixon stays quiet, which is not Richard Nixon.
No, because he liked to talk.
Nixon, you could tell him a secret, and he's a little girl. You know, he'd be telling the next person. Yeah. That's why he had all these tapes, to be honest. Yeah. Because he needed information on everybody. And that's what he used the FBI for. Anyway, we're not discussing that. Because I am a huge Richard Nixon information person.
J. Edgar Hoover.
Like, the first meal that he had in the White House was tomato soup. He got on his tie and told the chef never make soup again.
Yeah.
That's how much of a nerd I am when it comes to Richard Nixon. Anyway, we're not talking about that. No, we're talking about my Jackie Gleason story.
One of these days we have to tell the story between Elvis and Nixon.
All right. Anyway, that being, I know a lot about that too.
Yeah, me too.
And the Beatles. Anyway, that being said, Nixon jokingly just said, "Yeah, you know, we got information." Somehow, and everybody's going to dispute me right here, and I have backup information. Of course I do. Nixon got out of the White House without anybody knowing he got out. Drove to Jackie Gleason's house and told him to get in his car. They went to a secret base, and I like how my thing's slowing down when I'm telling this story. Anyway, that being said, they went to a secret base. Jackie Gleason goes, "What are we doing here? And where's your Secret Service at?" They went into one of the coolers, and laying on a table in a Ziploc, like, big duffel
body bag,
was a alien. Yeah. Jackie Gleason was such a drunk and alcoholic during this time, he quit drinking for 4 fucking weeks. And would just walk around with this completely white face.
And this is a guy who eventually drank himself to death.
And smoked.
Oh, constantly.
All the time. Like, during this time period. And people would be like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" After that, in Florida, I believe, he built a UFO home.
Yeah.
Jackie Gleason told the tabloids about this. Now, where I said you were going to dispute me at is how Richard Nixon got out of the White House without being seen by his...
That's actually the...
Nixon went down to the protesters without Secret Service to talk to them.
That's actually the part that nobody should contend with, because there have been multiple times that presidents have either used the steam tunnels or various other routes that the public isn't supposed to know about to get out without Secret Service knowing. Yeah. Now, that's mainly back when the tech for tracking them wasn't really there. Now the tech for tracking them's there, it's not going to happen. It's going to be a lot more difficult.
It might be a little bit difficult, but you leave your phone on the table.
Yeah.
And your smartwatch. True.
But, I mean, who's to say what other tracking tech they got we don't know about?
Nah, that's very true. Yeah. It's probably shot or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They may be chipped like a dog.
I'm waiting for that to happen. Anyway, but yeah, like, Nixon had balls. He went down to the damn protesters, the hippies, and asked, "Why don't you like me?"
Yeah. He wouldn't pull a punch when it came to talking to somebody.
And, like, that's ballsy enough. Like, they could have killed him.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's like, you ever seen the episode of Rowan Martin's Laugh-In that he's on?
Mm-mm.
He comes on there, and he was advised by a certain group of people to go ahead and do this show when they ask him to. First off, because they were the only ones that had the guts at the time to ask him something like this.
Right.
Which that was a major counterculture show. It brought a lot of stuff that had all been subtext, and you had to be the right people to know about it, and political views, things like that. It brought all that up to the surface, and it did really, really well. Also, where Goldie Hawn, really truly shines in that one, that show. But he's actually on there. There is an episode where Nixon comes on, and the only thing he says is the famous line, "Sock it to me." And then after, he had never seen the show until then. Then after that episode aired, because he watched it, he absolutely regretted it and tried to somehow undo it, but he couldn't.
Richard Nixon tried to use Johnny Cash at one time. And if you have not watched a documentary on Netflix, you need to. It's called Tricky Dicky and Johnny Cash.
Nice. I haven't seen that one.
Huh?
I haven't seen that one.
I had to do some
digging to find it.
Yeah.
You watched Nixon and Frost, obviously, though.
I love Frost and Nixon.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about that, I wasn't going to talk about that, but I am now. If you don't know what we're talking about, Frost and Nixon. Frost was a European reporter.
British, to be specific. Worked for the BBC.
He was on his last leg, basically. No one liked him, so they sent him to Nixon. Thinking that he was going to get buried and get sent home.
Yeah, because at that point, Nixon was not doing any kind of interviews at all.
And at this time period, Nixon didn't think he was wrong.
Yeah.
And during this time period, they did, 9 interviews or 3 weeks worth of interviews? Something like that.
Yeah, it was a whole series of interviews.
It was a whole series.
Which Nixon... telling him, yeah, I want to talk. That was unknown right at that time because nobody.
This was a year after Watergate?
Nobody could get an interview with him.
Yeah, no one could get an interview with Nixon. Nixon finally got sick of people harassing him because he went home.
In the media, just mocking him and nonstop. Yeah.
So Nixon thought he did no wrong. In his eyes, he thought he did no wrong.
Yeah.
So... the third interview, I think it was, third or fourth interview, like the press starts hounding about this interview, and they're showing footage from Vietnam.
Yeah.
And it's making Nixon feel a little bad. Well, finally he breaks, and he's like, "Fine! Yes, I'm wrong!" Horrible Nixon impression, but...
yeah, well, you gotta remember, you got a lot of people nowadays who don't actually know what he sounded like, so that's all right,
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like him, but not really. But anyway, that being said, they made a movie called Frost and Nixon, which is really underrated. Ron Howard did it, and he studied these films. It took him a long time to actually get the interviews.
Yeah.
So, that being said. Anyway, back to, who else? Carrie Fisher, big into paranormal.
Oh, yeah.
But she's kind of crazy.
Yeah, she was a little bit nuts. She admitted that in her book and everything, Postcards from the Edge, which eventually became a movie, award-winning. The whole deal with her growing up with a famous mom and just life in general, and then her becoming a star all of a sudden, she's got a really interesting life.
Yeah. Phyllis Diller, which her whole act was...
oh, yeah.
Paranormal, technically.
Yeah.
Before its time.
Dealing with her dead husband.
Yeah, which I believe she actually did. Like, if I had to believe someone, I believe so.
And she made money off of it, so there you go.
Yeah. Like, watch the Scooby-Doo episode with Phyllis Diller. That whole episode, she's talking to her husbands.
Yeah, his ghost. Which, I love the...
Clyde, you turn on them lights!
Which I loved Phyllis Diller anyway as a kid, especially like when she was on the Muppet Show and stuff like that. She was definitely funny, and she
Give no fucks.
yeah,
Basically.
yeah, she just didn't care. She was gonna say whatever she wanted, and if people believed her, they believed her. If they didn't believe her, she didn't care because they were still laughing and she was still getting paid.
Right.
And just the caricature of her in that Scooby-Doo episode is always going to be locked in my head, where I will constantly remember that drawing.
She was also in Boy Meets World on a Halloween episode. Where,
I did not see that episode.
She plays a psychic that Corey thinks he's turning into a werewolf.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's just puberty, dude.
Let's see, who else is big in the paranormal? The Osbournes, and once again, you know, Jack had a great paranormal show on Sci-Fi.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. Then he got sick, which at the time a lot of us was getting sick.
Yeah.
All at the same time, not to the extent that Jack was.
Yeah, but you had a lot of people who had that kind of subject matter in their show, and it just seemed really coincidental that so many of them were getting sick. Or their shows, even though getting great ratings, were suddenly getting taken off the air.
Ryan Buell. That's a different story I don't want to get into. The head guy from Ghost Hunter, which I don't want to get involved in that conversation here. Jack Osbourne. I actually got sick during that time period too. And I was heavily going places.
Yeah.
So it was really weird that all of us got hit at the same time. I went through a major depression problem during that time too. Yeah. Not that I haven't again, but that was the first sign of my depression.
Yeah, that really got you. Yeah.
I'm not blaming the paranormal, and people that don't know me, well, they know me, but they think they know what the fuck I do. You don't know shit when I go out places. You think I'm chanting to Satan or worshiping the devil or all this shit. You don't know a fucking thing. If you ever want to go out with me, I'll set you up a day and we'll go. But don't fucking like criticize me for something you don't know.
It's to say, if they don't know what's going on, they really just need to keep their mouth shut.
And that's my father. Like, him and my uncle think they're like, oh, it cracks me up. Like, I caught them one day talking behind my back, and like people were like, "Oh, what's the big deal? They're talking behind your back," because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. One, and the family's not supposed to talk behind your back.
Misinformation is just as damaging as, you know, if crap was really going like
right. That. Like I take steps so things don't follow me, but I believe that they'll be there no matter what. Like, not evil spirits or shit like that. Like, family will always be there, no matter what. So that's what it is. Anyway, Joe Rogan, he's big on the paranormal scene. He is a big debunker, though.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in any of it. He believes it's all from inside the human mind.
Yeah. And Rob Lowe, which
but he also does a lot of DMT.
Yeah. Hit the intro on the Lowe Files.
Gotcha.
Since I was a little boy, I've loved spooky legends and scary mysteries. And when I had boys of my own, we bonded over those campfire stories.
We're going on a search for Sasquatch.
And debated whether Bigfoot was real.
That is a real track of Bigfoot.
Or if ghosts really existed. And we swore that one day we would find out those answers together. That day has come.
Okay. So, I fell in love with this show when it first came out, like, 2017. But I always made a comment that I thought he got a free truck out the deal. Because if you ever watch the episodes, he has a really nice truck. I know he's Rob Lowe. Found out on Joe Rogan's podcast, the podcast I sent you, that he did get a free truck out.
Yep. Hey, sponsors are a wonderful thing if you can get them.
But Rogan asked if he believed in this stuff, and he said, "I'm not a non-believer, but I want my foot in the game."
Mhm.
per se.
Yeah.
And like this intro says, like, he talks to his kids about this shit. I took my kids Bigfoot hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I had nothing wrong with that. My oldest son, his mom's like, why did you take him Bigfoot hunting? I was like, you know me? So shut the fuck up.
It's like, we have met, right?
That being said, yeah, I took them Bigfoot hunting. I let them bring their Nerf war guns and swords and lightsabers. We lost a lightsaber in the fucking woods somewhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel with a lightsaber.
Yeah. So, you could say I made a joke out of it. No, I didn't.
So say, you also had fun.
Yeah, that's the main thing is I took my kids to go Bigfoot hunting in Pike State Forest.
Yeah.
There's no fucking sightings of Bigfoot in Pike State Forest.
No.
Now, there is sightings in, like, Boonville, which is around the corner from there. There has been sightings in Vincent's. There's a lot of weird shit on that main fucking stretch, people.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do a little bit of research, study it. Type in UFO sightings around the small town before Vincent's. There's over 500 sightings in a town that has less than 100 people.
Yeah, so say it's less town than where I grew up, and it's clear skies. They don't have a lot of like tree coverage. It's flat land. They've got clear views all the way around.
Now, I did go Bigfoot hunting by myself. It was very tiring.
I would imagine, yeah. It's a lot of hiking. It's, you see these guys who that's what they do all day, every day. They tend to be in really good shape.
Yeah, and I can see why. Like, I got back. I went on a 5-hour fucking Bigfoot hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And the weeds and shit alone was up to my, like, shoulder.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
it's one of those where when you get home, you spend like 2 hours checking yourself for ticks.
No, I passed out.
Oh, okay.
Like, literally on the bed.
It's like they'll fill up and drop off.
Pretty much, kind of. It's like, that's what happened. And so I have gone Bigfoot hunting. Like I said, I am big into the paranormal. Eventually we'll do a ghost to ghost. So I'm not going to tell any of the stories. Have I saw sightings of things that were unexplained? Yes, I have. I am a true believer. Paul McCartney believes that he's talked to John Lennon. It's not a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dan Carvey makes it out to be.
Yeah.
I love Dan Carvey, but yeah. There's quite a few, but to get back to what we're talking about, will it ever be in the mainstream? No. Not like we want. Like, not like God is or churches are today. It's never going to be that extreme.
A lot of it also, which I'll get into this more when we do like a ghost to ghost.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it also has to do with the nature of how things work.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, you got to remember you're working on a much larger time frame and dealing with nonlinear time. You're dealing with different magnetic phenomena. You're dealing with different alignment phenomena with like where things are in the cosmos, which, by the way, tonight you will be able to see the Perseid meteor shower. Matter of fact, it should be starting shortly. It'll be going on into tomorrow morning.
Nice.
So overnight, North America has a really good view of it. If you get a chance, get out away from street lights and light pollution from towns and go stare at some really cool meteors.
Nice.
But anyway, when you're dealing with anything that deals with dimensionality, a lot of it, it's not going to happen in the time frame you want, so therefore you're not going to be able to force it to be replicatable.
All right.
And because of that, you've got a lot of people saying, oh, it may have happened here, but, you can't make it happen, or, it's not happened again since, things like that. And when you're dealing with, chaos law, pandimensionality, all kinds of various things like that, you're dealing with things that they may seem random and scattered to you and may seem, oh, it's not real because we can't just view it all the time. But at the same time, you're dealing with things that are on a much grander scale of operation. If you're a tiny little piece in a watch. Okay, you're in there, you see where everything goes, it's all ordered, it's neat, there's no chaos. But then the watch factory itself, bigger machines, the little machines know nothing of that. Look at it that way. You get the bigger machines, and then you have the chaotic variables, which would be similar to like the workers in that factory.
Right.
You know, it's not going to happen when you want it to. It's not going to happen how you want it to. It's one of those things that there's too many variables. Too many things have to be exactly right for all of it to be the way people want clear-cut and dry answers of, this is how this is, we can prove it, this is, it'll never change, this is how it is. That's just not how things work.
Right. But yeah, so we're going to get off this topic. Going to go back to Caddyshack for a minute.
Sure.
Well, for a split minute. Fred was on there from Roseanne.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying that. And, so Fred was on Roseanne, like I just said. Repeating myself. That wasn't a glitch, people. Have you watched The Connors?
I have not. I've heard a bunch of people talk about it. I've never seen that one.
Okay, Fred's not there.
Okay.
And I have a theory.
Do they explain why he's gone?
Nope.
Okay.
Like on the show, original Roseanne, she got divorced.
Right.
But if you remember, okay, Andy's not there either.
Okay.
No explanation. Jerry's brought up for a split minute and then gone.
Okay.
So I have a theory.
All right. Let's hear it.
All right. So Roseanne, of course, we all love Roseanne, and there's quite a bit of information you can go by. What could happen? Roseanne is still telling a story because she wrote on the last episode. She's telling a story how she wrote this show basically, or this book, and how things aren't the way it actually panned out.
Right.
The other thing could be, and this is a very dark theory, and I'm sticking to it. I've told my friends about this. If you remember, DJ got into hockey, and Jackie was dating this guy, and he became DJ's coach, taught him a little bit about hockey, and then they dated on the show, and then how he got off the show was he beat the crap out of Jackie.
Yeah, he was an abuser.
Well, after that, she met Fred. And
you can't see the air quotes. But yeah, there were air quotes.
There's air quotes, and then her and Roseanne had a baby at the same time.
Right.
Now, I want to say that my theory is Jackie never met Fred. She actually got put into an asylum for being crazy.
Okay.
She never had the baby at the same time as Roseanne. They never were pregnant at the same time.
Right.
So you fast forward, she's out. Roseanne died.
Okay.
And we started a new one. Jerry's not brought up, and then where Roseanne's no longer there anymore.
Okay. So
Jerry's not there, Fred's not there, Andy's not there.
Yeah, just big sections of characters are no longer there or mentioned.
Yeah. That being said, could it all been a figment of Jackie's imagination?
A psychotic break?
Yeah.
It's an interesting theory. I like it.
The other theory is, and this is kind of harder to explain why Fred's not there, Dan's telling the story now.
And, okay.
He's writing the story.
Well,
because in Roseanne's story, they basically got a divorce.
Right. Then you also have the whole, it was all a dream episode thing that they did, and Dan had died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
They tried to, basically, it's like, okay, are we going this way? No, we're going this way. Are we going this way? No, we're going this way. And they made it to where it wasn't as obvious one way or the other And it left a lot of threads that never got tied back up.
Yeah. But my theory is Jackie went crazy because she was abused.
Yeah.
Never had Jerry or Andy, and Roseanne never had Jerry.
I like it. It's an interesting theory.
Yeah, it's dark.
Yeah, you know.
They're not going to explain that.
No,
Arnie's not there either. So did he really get abducted by aliens?
Interesting. Might have. He may be off getting probed.
Yeah. Alrighty, I think that finishes up this episode. Oh, wait a minute. We got one more thing. You wanted to talk about the
actor,
the creepy guy from
yeah.
Ghostbusters 2.
The actor who played the one who was constantly creeping on Sigourney Weaver's character, his actual name, the actor, is Peter McNichol, and he played Janosch in that movie, and he's the one who appears with the glowing eyes and the hovering baby carriage outside the window whenever he's given power by Vigo the Carpathian, but as a servant. He has been in so many things. Just current stuff that he's been in. He's been in All Rise, Tangled the series, Veep, Series of Unfortunate Events on Netflix, Harvey Birdman, Attorney General, Big Bang Theory, American Dad, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Batman, Arkham Knight, CSI Cyber, Star Wars Rebels, Mindy Project. He's been in so much crap. I'm not going to sit here and read all this off. Don't worry, I won't bore you to death that way. It'll be an entirely different way that I bore you to death. However, I first found out about this guy through a movie from 1981. And as a kid, loved this movie. They showed the crap out of it on HBO. It's called Dragon Slayer.
Oh, okay.
And he is the hero of that movie. Which, by the way, I still say that's one of the best, fantasy, dragon movies. And if you watch that and then turn around and watch Ghostbusters 2, you will realize he has an absolutely ridiculous range. He's also in a movie that doesn't get credited a lot of times, namely because of the person who directed it. He's in a movie called The Fearless Vampire Killers.
Oh, yeah.
I highly recommend that movie. It's an amazing film, but the person who directed it is an absolute scumbag. If you know who directed Rosemary's Baby, then you know who I'm talking about. He is wanted in multiple countries for being basically a pedophile. He keeps repeatedly getting involved in quote relationships. I don't think you could actually call them that, but that's what he calls them, with people who are 15, 16 years old. It's not kosher, guys. We don't live in the 1200s anymore. You can't do that. People live longer. Hey, you respect the rules. But definitely Peter McNichol, he's somebody, if you've not seen him, he's also in Dracula Dead and Loving It, a Mel Brooks movie with Leslie Nielsen. A hilarious movie. It's a different kind of hilarity, but it's really good. I highly recommend it. It bombed in the theaters, but if you watch it, it's a sleeper. If you get the jokes that are in it, then you've definitely watched a lot of old school horror. But you definitely need to check out Peter McNichol as an actor, just in general. Check out Dragon Slayer, and then turn around and watch Ghostbusters 2, where he's Dr. Janosch Polha.
My favorite thing he's ever said was in Ghostbusters 2.
Mm-hmm.
The power goes out, and he shows up at Sigourney Weaver's house and knocks on the door, and he's like, "I'm here to check on you and the baby." And he's like, "Where's the baby?" And she's like, He's sleeping, and he goes, "Awoo!" And she's like, "Shh!" And he goes, "Oh yeah, the baby's sleeping." And she goes, "Yeah, he's sleeping." And he goes, "But I go, awoo."
Yeah. and he's doing this hand thing with his fingers when he does that. It's hilarious. It really is. It's and Peter McNichol has no accent at all. Peter McNichol, by the way, is the co-star of Tom Hanks in Tom Hanks' breakthrough role, Bosom Buddies, where they both play cross-dressers who only cross-dress because it's the only way they can get the apartment
That's
they're in.
him?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Peter
Wow.
McNichol's, I'm telling you, check the man out. He's got range, and still currently, not just does he do all these things, he's also a really great theater actor.
Yeah.
I mean,
I knew that.
he can play anything you throw at him.
So one more thing before we get off here is the Ghostbuster theory.
Mm-hmm.
Ghostbuster 2 theory. You brought up that they go to hell and fight Hell's Dimension, like demons and stuff.
Right.
So there's a theory that maybe they didn't survive Ghostbuster 1.
I've heard a few theories that start that way.
Because Ghostbusters 2 starts off good.
Mm-hmm.
Then I feel like they stop production. And the movie sucks.
I like it, but they pushed really, really hard, the studios did, to get that feel-good ending. They wanted their feel-good ending because that was, you were getting to that point I was talking about where Hollywood stopped, realistic films where, hey, everybody dies, deal with it.
Right.
Or like really downer endings because they started, we can make more money if we say, oh, this feels good. They felt good coming out of the theater. They'll talk about it. People will go see it. And it became money. Kind of like that was the beginning of the end where we're at now with everything. It's a remake. It's a reboot. It's, we reshot the ending 12 times because 63 test audiences didn't like it. And, some small kid in Nebraska wet himself whenever we saw the first ending. Oh. Yeah, if you've got an original or creative bone in your body and you're inclined to make films, get with whatever your state's local film commissions are. Don't deal with Hollywood. Even if it's got to be the lowest budget ever and you can't afford effects, even if it's, just actors from local colleges, you can actually put together a good movie. It doesn't have to be the best, but you can put together a good movie.
Right. Hold on one moment. I want to try something.
Beware the drink.
Okay, we're back. False alarm. We're not going anywhere.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled program, or irregularly scheduled, because we can't ever seem to keep a schedule.
Well, anyway, back to them going to hell. That's not what we were going to discuss, but I wanted to go back to it for a minute. It really makes sense if they died in the first one.
Yeah.
Because Venkman's not with Squirrel Weaver anymore, Dana. Right. And he's part of that talk show, which he's miserable. Yeah. Egon's basically like a real dick now, testing kids and shit.
Well, at the same time, Egon, you from the beginning, he wasn't real social.
Sure.
It was all straight up research, and he had no problems about testing small animals or whatever. It's like, I need the information, so.
And then Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson can't keep like a main job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, all right. Talking about reboots really fast. Did you hear what Fox wants to do?
No, but now that you've mentioned Fox, I'll wait, but go ahead. No, I have not.
They want to reboot Die Hard. Without
Bruce Willis.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, that series could play with just about any like charismatic action star.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're charismatic, you could get a young dude in there. And I think that series could play and have a new life.
Right.
Now, do I think it's a good idea? No.
What if, hear me out,
Okay.
Bruce Willis is in the movie, but he's not John McClane.
Who are you going to have him be?
He can be a villain. He is a cop that snaps.
Okay. I could see that.
Me and Eric thought of that today.
I could definitely see that. And I mean, he could draw in his real life because he's gotten to where he's just an evil, hateful human being from what I hear.
Oh, yeah. But the other thing, this ain't Fox related, I'm a huge Funko Pop, fanatic. Well, I have a tendency to refuse to buy stuff that my friends collect.
Okay.
And one of my best friends, Eric, collects Back to the Future because he loves Back to the Future.
Right.
Which is fantastic. I love Back to the Future.
I had all 4 of the sets of the glasses from the Pizza Hut promotional they had.
Really?
Yeah,
I love them glasses.
I did have all 4 of those. Those were cool.
I had, it came from my Air Force base, ET glasses.
Oh, nice.
That you can only get in Air Force. But my stupid ex-girlfriend, wasn't even my girlfriend at the time, broke them fucking all.
Yeah, great.
And I still have a grudge. Anyway.
It's subtle. I almost didn't notice.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, Comic-Con exclusive Funko Pops this year. Last year was Big Bang Theory and Ghostbusters. This year is Back to the Future.
Nice.
So they got the $15, pops at my store. Michael J. Fox, of course. And then they got the $30 Doc Brown at the Clock Tower.
Right.
And then they got the $8.96 ones of, the regular cast. Like Michael J. Fox, Christopher Wood, and such, as the characters. Biff's one.
It'd be nice if they had Biff in the convertible with the manure all over him.
That would be hilarious. So my friend is like, why is all this Back to the Future stuff coming back now? And he's like, are they rebooting it? And I said, no. It's just the Comic-Con theme this year. It's Back to the Future. Last year was Ghostbusters. And he's like, oh, okay. I was like, there'll be more Ghostbusters stuff once the new movie hits. And he's like, we were talking about rebooting Back to the Future. And who could play Marty McFly? And right off the back, I said Zac Efron. He was on board, which I was kind of shocked.
I think he could play him. I know he's got the range.
Right.
But he's too chiseled and too pretty boy.
He could go back to 17 again.
He'd have to do something because as is now, being all chiseled and pretty boy, all that, it's not going to play right the way the characters interact, especially like with his mother. It's not gonna feel like it's legit. It's gonna feel too faked.
Who would you get as Marty McFly?
I would have said Anton Yelchin, but he's dead. Because he got squished by his own car when he got out to get the mail. He left his Jeep in neutral. And he had a big stone brick mailbox thing, and he got out, got squished between it, and killed him. Yeah. Great actor, though. If you've not seen Green Room, check it out. I don't know. Let me think.
What was Zac Efron? Because he's young?
Yeah. And he does have the range. He's got comedic chops. Obviously, Seth Rogen knew that, too. Because he, got him right there.
See, I said Seth Rogen as maybe Marty or Doc Brown.
I could see him as a Doc Brown type character because he pulls off the crazy, the going into little diatribes, quickly getting distracted, that scatterbrained. He's good at that. He's really good at that.
I'm not talking about like Seth Rogen, the pot smoker.
No.
I'm talking about Seth Rogen, the serious actor, serious director we're getting.
Yeah. And I honestly, I see that. He could do that. Because...
If you guys have not saw it, watch a show called Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
Watch it now.
And you'll actually realize just how many really big name stars started in that show. Just a little bitty show that ended up getting canceled because it just didn't have enough viewers. So many.
Adam Sandler played in an episode as Adam Sandler.
Well, you had Seth Rogen in it. You ended up with...
James Franco.
James Franco. You had the dude who plays Marshall on How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
There's several female actresses also that
They're all great.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really great ensemble show, and they did such a great job of picking talented young actors. Every single one of them, to the best of my knowledge, because I can't think of one of them that hasn't gone on to be, an actual like big name either TV or movie star.
Yeah. It's a shame
Like
that
Jay Baruchel.
it's a shame that the director and Seth Rogen can't get along anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, people are people.
So,
Some folks are just complete and total crap. It's just how it is.
but we couldn't figure out Doc Brown.
I could see him as a Doc Brown though.
Yeah.
Marty McFly would be a hard one to pull off because you had Michael J. Fox coming off of Clean Cut with Family Ties, Clean Cut, All American Boy, not too, he played the business savvy, whatever, but you could tell he had that clean cut Boy Next Door feel, and he wasn't, hyper attractive. He wasn't hyper sexualized. He still had that clean freshness to him.
Right.
Which Eric Stoltz was originally supposed to play that role, but anyway. Michael J. Fox, you would be hard pressed to find somebody in the current environment of filmmaking who could play it exactly that same way, but still make
Tom
it
Holland.
feel fresh. Tom Holland would have a better chance than just about anybody else, who's of the main staples right now.
Right.
Because he does have that look, but I would give him a shot above anybody else that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does kind of have that, which they play up big time for the Peter Parker role, because Peter Parker is that same kind of smart aleck, all-American kid. Granted, Peter Parker's got more tragic backstory, but I could see that. That would be the closest one I could think of.
I would, not to steal from the whole cast of Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that to play Biff would be the guy that's eventually going to become Venom.
Tom Hardy? Or
no, in the Peter Parker version of Tom Holland's, it's he does all the live feeds from like a Facebook Live on the Sentinel movie. If you watch the Sentinel one,
which I have not seen yet.
Oh, okay. Fuck. I don't know his name.
Of course, where Sony has still the rights,
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's really weird because it's like, you'll notice if you saw Tom Hardy in Venom,
Yeah.
not once did you see the white spider on the chest.
No. This Venom is the 2000 version of Venom. He actually gets paralyzed. And
Flash Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was the big football guy, and he ends up actually becoming the version of Venom who ends up working as an agent for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good version. I really like that. I also, Chris, the Eddie Brock, especially when you're dealing with the all-out war scenario from the...
He would play Biff, though.
Tom Hardy?
No, the kid that's playing...
Okay.
Yeah.
However, whoever's playing Flash Thompson. Yeah. I could see Tom Hardy definitely, playing a role in there.
Yeah.
Because he's got so much range.
Yeah.
Have you seen Capone?
No.
You seen the makeup on him and everything?
Yeah.
The trailers? Yeah. He sells it, man.
I'm interested to watch that, but I'm not willing to buy it to watch it.
If you get a chance, watch a movie called Bronson.
Bronson? Okay.
It's got him in it. It was made in the UK, and it's based on one of the UK's most notorious criminals.
Oh.
A guy who renamed himself legally Charles Bronson. Yep. And he is in a prison for mentally unstable or just flat out insane people.
Nice.
And he has escaped from that prison more times. It's ridiculous. No one else has ever escaped that many times. He incited a riot and actually got a bunch of the guards to get on his side. He held himself hostage. It's ridiculous the amount of things that this guy has actually done. You get a chance, watch the movie Bronson with Tom Hardy in it, and also do a little reading on notorious British criminal Charles Bronson.
Nice.
Read the legit story on that. It's ridiculous. It's truly stranger than fiction.
All right. Well, that's going to be the end of this episode.
Can we go out on this?
Yeah.
I'm just going to play it in the background.
Okay.
If you don't know what this is, it's a piece of classic German classical music, but it's redone 8-bit for an old video game called Earthworm Jim.
It was done for Mario.
yeah, but that's a slightly different version. This is why. This is what made me think of this. I wanted to play this track while we were on our brief little break there. Dun, 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 dun,
Guess what came in the shop today?
Who?
Not who, what.
What?
You know the arcade games? Like the small one?
Yeah.
NBA Jam
Oh, nice.
came in.
Nice. From back in the day.
Yeah. So,
I, at some point, will end up building myself my own arcade cabinet. And I'm going to put inside of that arcade cabinet pretty much every game SNK ever made.
nice.
Because SNK, I used to play, I don't know how many people remember SNK Neo Geo machines. They had them, and they had anywhere between 2 and 10 games on the same arcade machine.
I was just talking about this.
Yeah, and you get to pick a different one. And, I loved all their games, but especially the King of Fighters series. I still end up buying, every time a new import version of King of Fighters comes out, I end up ordering it. Because I still love that series. Anyway, the cabinet, I've got some really good designs off of the internet, and you can use a Raspberry Pi for your throughput. It's really, the most expensive part of it is going to be the monitor, the lumber, and then configuring all of your buttons and wires. But it's just time consuming, and currently I don't have that kind of cash. But I will do it at some point.
Well, them $300 ones are cheaply made.
Yeah, except I'm going to make one that's legit solid.
Right.
And
That doesn't overheat.
yeah, that doesn't overheat. You don't have to worry about it burning your entire house down while you're sleeping. But yeah, that's a blast from my past. You could find these in just about every tanning salon, video store.
There was a volume 10.
Gas stations, yeah. And there was just SNK Neo Geo machines, which, by the way, there was a short-lived during the early console wars between Sega and Nintendo, and the first round of PlayStation, there was an SNK Neo Geo home unit.
Nice.
That you could get. And the Neo Geo Pocket at one time was completely and totally infinitely better than the Game Boys of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Backlit, full color, everything.
Yeah.
If they had managed to get licensing rights...
My brother had one.
If they had managed to get licensing rights for more games, that thing would have still been around. They would have blown everything else out of the water.
Dreamcast was good, too.
Mm-hmm. The Sega Dreamcast, there's a series of games on there, Power Stone and Power Stone 2.
Mm-hmm.
Those were like my first experience with like party type games, where everybody got together.
Army Men was mine.
Oh, those were good series.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fun games on Dreamcast, and they took risks.
Right.
Games like Seamen.
Yeah.
Games like Space Station number, what is that? Space Channel number 5. Something like that.
Something like that.
It was a dance rhythm game. Whenever that was still brand new, nobody had heard of it. Whenever PlayStation 2 first came out, there was a company that they're no longer in existence because they didn't make bestsellers, but they made awesome games. There was a game called Mad Maestro, a game called Mr. Mosquito, and a game called Stretch Panic. Look those up, especially Stretch Panic. If that was redone on today's graphics, it would be amazing and just truly bizarre Just look it up. I'll spare you all the details. Stretch panic.
Wow.
Your weapon is a scarf that's demonically possessed.
All right. I think this is going to be the end of this episode, officially. We will talk to you everybody later. Bye.